You please call the roll.
Councilman Noah,
Here.
Here. Here.
here. Councilman Nelson
Here.
and Mayor Jones.
Here. A quorum is present, and we will open our public comments. We would like to remind everyone to speak into the mic. State your name, your address, and you will have 3 minutes. Clerk Pippin. First person for public comments.
Karen Mitchum, 508 Hunters Ridge Drive. Good evening, council. I have two concerns this evening, which I would like to present to you. Number one, what was the reason we never got the 40 senior apartments, which Louis McKinney was to build on Halls Ferry in Ferguson? I never understood why it didn't happen. And I'm wondering if it will happen. I think we do need senior citizen housing. I did some research on Mr. McKinney, and he was named #1 developer by St. Louis City, developer in the region. And he is building houses in Jennings and doing senior housing also in Jennings. It's the real concern because I do think we need the senior citizens housing. I'd like for Councilman Ashby and Councilwoman Robinette, if you could explain that in miscellaneous, I would appreciate it. My second concern is I think we need to bring back the Charter Commission. I think there's some things need to be changed in the charter that would better serve our citizens and make our city government more effective. So these are my two concerns, and I would appreciate if you could address the Charter Commission, bringing that back, because I really think there needs to be some change. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Mitchell.
Erica Brooks.
Good evening. My name is Erica M. Brooks. I am running for City Council in Ward 2. And for everybody that does not know me, I've been here 12 years. It's been a huge asset to me to be able to be a positive influence and a change maker in our community. One thing that I want to say is about the bus service, as far as retaining it. For all the people that know and understand that my son and I were grassroots organizers, and it was a vital thing to me to be able to be done. It was an asset to the city of Ferguson because the city qualified for surface transportation program grant funds, which was $571,623. That's a huge factor to be able to retain that bus line for the city. And believe me, I was doing an uphill battle against the city as well as Metro at the time, so it was not like it was a party going on. And so for all the citizens here in Ferguson, Missouri, I want y'all to remember that you all were the assets to help me and my son to keep our bus service and have access. Also, I want you all to remember that I did a petition in 2021 to be able to get Plaza and Dade done, Plaza and Mueller done as well. And the city just finished doing the replacement of potholes on Plaza and Mueller. It was due to my petition, being persistent, being up here every city council meeting, making sure that our city was on path and looking out for our area. Because the city, my citizens out there said that basically within 30 years, those streets hadn't been touched. And so I thank the city for pursuing it and getting that done. Also, when it comes to other ways I've contributed to the community, I also ran in 2021. And running, I was out there with my son cutting grass and dirt houses, which I continuously talked to the city about, because a lot of those houses in my ward or owned by the city. And they were derelict, and so we pursued it by cutting those, yards to have a better looking community. And also, as far as the school district is concerned, I was a very positive advocate for the kids. I volunteered with the football team and taking those kids to football games when the school district did not provide buses for them. I took them in cars along with two other parents where they had to go, and I was very involved with it's called McClure Success Plan. I was a huge voice in helping them understand that parental inclusion is the key to our community. Until they come and assess our homes and assess where the kids come from, and continue to have those issues that they have in the school. But I want you to remember on April 2nd, please reach out and do your homework and understand that it wasn't about talking about it, I was being about it. I was actually doing work that city council people do. So please vote for me, Erica and Brooks, on April 2nd as your city councilwoman for Ward 2. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Brooks.
Adrian Shropshire.
Good evening, council. Good evening, citizens. Just trying to make it hard to keep the case. This is what I had to go through, right? Try to persuade council. Carla. C1 of our C1 district. Man, I tell you, it's a lot of time in. See the map? No, it's a little small, but in these areas, right up in areas here, over Halls Ferry area, that zone over there, that's commercial 1. And I think that's open for pest controls, car lots. Let me see what else. Motor vehicle dealerships, food stamp offices, general merchandise stores, retail nurseries like Home Depot. You guys want to make it hard on being the chairperson of the plan and zoning. Handling centers, millwork, lumber, garage doors, car repairs. By the way, the high rise down the street, commercial 1, miscellaneous shopping goods. I guess I could keep on, but if anybody needs a copy of this, you know, you have to finish it. The purpose of the C1 General Commercial District is to provide areas to develop of general retail sales and selected service activities, accessible locations in the city. District 1 further. Hey, I'm running out of time. But please, council, do not do business as usual. I'm asking, because if we do this, we'll have a problem in the future. Think about the 2040 plan and the master plan. And I want to voice my opinion on the liquor license. I still say no, because the code, we have to put our hearts where your heart is and make your decision based on code and ordinance. I know it looks bad, but our code says the ordinance. I know we want to sell liquor, but Audie's is the only one. I just need a couple more minutes, just seconds. Audie's is the only one that in the North County, ours, that doesn't sell liquor. So if you open that door up, everybody's going to be able to start selling liquor. And I got some stuff here. I can bring some more stuff in that talks about no liquor.
Thank you, Mrs. Shropshire.
Nick Cassoff.
Good evening. Tonight, council is voting on a resolution to award an engineering contract to Weiss Design. We don't have a city engineer, so of course, we have to move forward with this contract or the streets aren't going to get paid. But if you look at a lot of the municipalities of comparable size to us around the metropolitan area, there's a good number of them that have a full-time city engineer. That would have helped us with this, possibly eliminating the need for that $160,000 fee. And it would allow us to have a full-time person meeting the engineering needs of the city year round. We don't have that. We also don't have a city traffic engineer, which is something there's a bunch of mentions of in city ordinances. I believe the city engineer could fill that role as well. But if you look carefully at our ordinances, y'all can't put up a stop sign without the city traffic engineer approving it, and we don't have it. So $160,000, we could have hired 2 full-time people. We really only need 1. And I just want to ask the council as well as the city manager, let's give that some consideration. Create a position of city engineer so that we can start taking care of that business in-house in the future, save our city a lot. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kassoff.
Letitia Mann.
Good evening, Council. My name is Leticia Mann. I'm at 607 South Florissant. I am the owner of God's Love is Here Home Health Agency, and I'm looking to open God's Love is Here Adult Center at that address. I'm looking to expand in this wonderful town of Ferguson. I've issued a special use permit and to permit the business to be open. Our adult center will cater to adults with disabilities, mental and physically. We are here to support families with their loved ones. And with this, we would like to execute this vision here in Ferguson. And I am just here to introduce myself to you guys, to show my face. And I look forward to seeing you guys again.
Thank you, Ms. May.
Juanita Thompson.
Good evening, everyone. I just can't introduce myself as well. I am the owner of Young Nutrition and right on 447 and 241. I just wanted to thank you guys for welcoming me. I've had a great first month. The community has been out supporting council, mayor, everyone has been great. So I just want to thank you guys. And I look forward to growing even more in Ferguson. And I live in Ferguson. I'm happy to be here.
Can you say the name of your businesses again?
Huh?
Could you say the name of your businesses again?
Yummy Nutrition
Okay,
and Glen Boutique, they're right next door to each other on South Fork.
you want to tell us your hours so I can come?
Yes, I'm open Monday. Yummy Nutrition is open Monday through Friday, 6:30 a.m. to 6 p.m. And Glen Boutique is open Monday through Saturday, 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. Lord. And I'm open on Saturdays at Yummy Nutrition from 10 to 4.
Okay.
And I think I'm gonna open on Sundays. Saturday, I'm bored at 8. So I think I'm gonna open on Sundays. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Juanita.
Alan Miller.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I was asked to clarify things I said at the last council meeting. My comments regarding COF LLC actually were correct. Mr. Palmer is the organization's registering agent and lists his address at his home in Ward 1. One of the Ward 1 neighbors is listed as an additional organizer, and the principal business address for COF LLC is in Ward 3. Also, I incorrectly described the effects of the conflicts of interest ordinance. Regrettably, there are no requirements for recusal, so I apologize. Regarding Bill 7271, after I notified city staff 6 times, I hear that sometime late this afternoon, the missing documents showing Mr. Palmer's ownership of the Fermo properties have finally been merged into the agenda packet. If this is true, the council can now proceed with approving the bill. During the last council meeting, both Councilwoman Lipka and Ms. St. Pierre tried to make it look like I was wrong on whether the documents were included. Instead, it just showed that they hadn't even bothered to read the agenda packet. Bill 7270 exposes even worse staff errors. During the last council meeting, Mr. Quinlan admitted he started selling cars in April of 2023. Whatever might constitute a grandfathered use was clearly canceled by that change of use. The previous owners of Ferguson Motors did not sell cars, and car sales are banned from the DT1 district. As soon as city staff learned of the change of use, they should have immediately stopped the prohibited use. To make matters worse, the quote, functional handshake agreement with a neighbor to use their parking lot, unquote, means two properties have been in violation of city ordinances with Ms. St. Pierre's knowledge and evident approval. There is a place for car lots. It is in the C1 and C2 commercial districts. Although you spoke against the form-based code at the last meeting, several of you approved these zoning code changes only a couple of years ago. What in 4 years destroyed your vision for the future of our city? If you approve Bill 7270 without following a formal process to modify the zoning code, you will create all kinds of confusion and problems for our city. Many people already feel that you treat the ordinances as subjective and malleable, sternly enforced at times and overlooked at other times. Lastly, if you approve Bill 7270, you'll be showing great disrespect for all the people who worked to create the form-based code and the R. Ferguson 2040 plan. You'll be conceding that immediate profit is more important than any broader vision for our community, our hopes to build a better community. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Miller.
Mayor, that's the last one we have in person. We have one individual online, Shirley Emerson.
Good afternoon, council and mayor. I have just two things I'm concerned about. One, I'm coming on behalf of the Forestwood Neighborhood Association. I'm a resident and a member of the association, and we're concerned because we want to pursue the historic designation process for the Northland Hills neighborhood. But there's a roadblock that we've encountered because we had initially started this process in 2022. And at the time in the 2022-2023 budget for the Economic Development Sales Tax Commission, they allocated $40,000 to Forestwood to pursue this process. We were working at the time with Elliot Leibson. Mr. Leibson was in the process of preparing a letter which would have gone out on the city's letterhead. It would have been mailed to the residents of Northland Hills to have a community meeting to explain the whole process. But Mr. Leibson left the position. And so we were told that the whole initiative would have to be tabled until someone else was hired. Well, to fast forward to now, we noticed there is someone in that position, and I've been in contact with them, but we really don't want to move forward until we are clear on the status of that $40,000, because it was supposed to be allocated to Forestwood and we never used it. So we're wondering now, is it available for us to use as we go through this process? The other concern I have tonight mirrors something that was said earlier about the senior housing, the 40 housing units that Mr. McKinney, Louis McKinney, was proposing to build on Halls Ferry. Ferguson needs those units. And Mr. Kinney is a #1 developer. In fact, he was named the #1 developer in this region by the city of St. Louis. He's currently building 31 additional
new housing units in Jennings, and he already has several units over there, several other projects over there. The people are aging in place, and the population is aging. The general population in society is aging in this country because people are living longer. And so Ferguson is certainly a prime area where we really do need some additional senior housing. So I would like to ask the council to please reconsider this initiative and please vote in favor of it. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Emerson. Do we have anyone else, Clerk Pittman? Public comments are now closed. We move to the manager's report. City Manager Hampton, we are ready for your report.
Mayor, Council, it's always a pleasure being here tonight. I will bring up Rachel St. Pierre from Economic Development and Code Enforcement. She will bring up her staff to introduce her staff. As we grow our departments, we will bring the staff members from the council so everybody gets to know who they are. Rachel.
Good evening, everybody.
Good
I just
evening.
wanted to introduce some of our new staff members, just because they've only been here for a short time, so you may not have had the opportunity to interact with them. They're all in the last row. You guys can all stand up. Joel in the very back. We know Joel already. Joel Pugh has been with us for a little over 3 months now. Everybody should know Wayne. Wayne has been here for about 8 years. Yeah. And then we have Abdul and we have Leslie. They started almost a month and a half ago. And then we also have Vicky, and she was our administrative assistant. Leslie and Abdul are more so involved with code enforcement, Wayne, of course, with inspections. And Joel Pugh is the coordinator. He is a jack of all trades and helps with a lot of things. We're developing some streamlined informational pamphlets so people know who to call, what number to call, who does what, and who can help them the fastest. Because I know that a number one complaint that we always get is don't answer your phone. Well, you know. And that is all I have to do for them.
Can you tell where your team is located now?
Yeah. So we do technically have our own address. It's 108 Church Street, and I've been told that it used to be the library and it's referred to as the annex. And if you visit us, we have some cool stuff in there, and then we're always really happy, and we have snacks, so it's always a great place to come in.
Councilwoman Lipka would like to ask a question.
So I was asked this weekend, how many code inspectors are we hoping for? I mean, when we finally have a complete staff of code inspectors?
We would like, so we have 2, we have 1.
Okay, I was under the impression that it would be 4. Okay, going forward, would we have the opportunity to ask you to consider that in your budget requests to add more code inspectors?
I could, yeah.
Okay.
Anyone else? Councilwoman Noah?
Thank you, Mayor. So are the inspectors and the code enforcement personnel, are they all that test that they have to take each year? What's the name of that certification? Are they all certified?
Wayne is an architect.
Okay.
And he does credentials.
ICC, that's
You have
what it
to
is. Okay.
Your certificates can expire. So if you do them reduce the next state, that's the date.
Okay.
Joel and, Abdul and Leslie, since they are new, part of their education requirements are to start working on getting their property maintenance certification. Joel, he is a, sorry, Joel, what is your degree? So Joel already has a degree in business administration, but he is very interested in going through the ICC certifications as well. And the same goes for Vicky. There's a lot of plan review and code specialist certifications that she can do as well. So everybody is very interested in education.
Okay.
Any other questions? City Manager.
Thank you. Mayor, that's going to be the city manager report for the evening.
Thus end the city manager report. We don't have special presentation, public hearing. We move to the consent agenda. The city council meeting minutes, regular meeting, January 23rd, 2024, 2/13/24. I'm requesting a motion and a second to approve the minutes.
So moved. Second, Laquita Noah.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? The minutes are approved. We move to boards and commission meeting minutes. We have minutes from the CRB from January the 8th, 2024. I request a motion and a second to receive and file the minutes.
I'll move Blake Ashby.
Second, Phaedra Nelson.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it. The minutes will be received and filed. We have one appointment for tonight. Emily Benner for Human Rights Commission. That is appointment made by the mayor and confirmed by the council. I need a motion and a second to confirm.
I'd like to make a motion to confirm, Mayor.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it. At this time, we will move to our liquor license. Clerk Pittman, do we have any requests for liquor license?
Yes, so you have the pending request for Ella's Kitchen at 42 South Florissant Road. You had the public hearing at the very last meeting. And so now we're bringing it forward for, the council's desire.
Council, Ella's Kitchen has applied for a liquor license. We had the public hearing. Are you ready to vote? I need a motion and a second.
So moved, Laquita Noah.
Second, Phaedra Nelson.
Phaedra.
We didn't hear you, Phaedra. You heard her? Okay,
Second, Phaedra Nelson.
okay. We got you. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Ayes have it. Ella's Kitchen has her liquor license. We move to the proclamation at hand. Whereas in 1926, Dr. Carter G. Woodson established the observance of the African American History Week for the purpose of revealing and honoring the contributions, achievements, and involvement of African Americans in the development of American democracy. And whereas this year's national theme, African Americans and the Arts, is infused with African, Caribbean, and the Black American lives experience in the field of visual and performing arts, literature, fashion, folklore, language, film, music, architect, culinary, and other forms of culture expressions. The African American influence has been paramount. African American artists have used art to preserve history and community memory, as well as for empowerment. Artistic and cultural movements such as the New Negro, Black art, Black Renaissance, hip hop, and Afrofuturism have been led by people of African descent and set the standard for popular trends around the world. Whereas the history of people of African heritage go back thousands of years, and the celebration of Black History Month brings into focus the unique achievements of numerous African American authors, artists, musicians, inventors, and scientists. And whereas African Americans have played a central role in Ferguson history and has contributed to the vitality of our community. And whereas Black History Month encourages unity and promotes the American idea of equal education and social economic opportunity for all citizens. I, Ella Jones, Mayor of the City of Ferguson, and the City Council hereby proclaim this month Black History Month. We move to our resolutions. Without objection, we're introduced by council members present. Resolution number 2024-06. Attorney Carey, could you please read the resolution?
Yes, ma'am. Resolution number 2024-06, a resolution selecting a contractor for play at the 4th of July celebration, awarding the contract to said contractor and authorizing the city manager to execute the contract on behalf of the city.
City Manager Hampton.
Mayor and Council, at this time, I'd like to bring the Parks Director up, Joseph Seastrom.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. 2023, we bid out
You pull the microphone up, thank you.
in 2023, we bid out the 4th of July fireworks, which we signed a 3-year agreement with Danger Displays, allowing us to lock in a great rate and receive 50% additional product each year. Before you, the year 2 contract will be a 22-minute display of 554 shells at this year's 4th of July celebration, starting about 9:30 p.m. Happily answer any questions.
I have one question. Go ahead.
So when you say we get a 50% increase each year, does that mean it's an increase from the year one, or do we have the 50% increase year one, which then creates a new number, and 50% more of that, which then creates a new number, and 50% more of that create a new number? Is that what we're getting?
No, it's just one flat. I wish more shells every year, but yeah, one flat, we get 50% off, what the cost of the product.
Check the language of the contract. Apollo?
So we get 564 shells. So the people are going to be satisfied with, ooh, okay. All right, Councilwoman.
On a more serious note, though, we're going to get 564 shells of a beautiful display. And if we carry on like we have in the past, we're going to have 50,000 shells going off that night of some sort. And what I would ask, and I know this is kind of out there, but why not? Why wouldn't some of you who spend so much money on your own personal fireworks displays work with the city, and we could have a whole section that's like compliments of the Smith family, compliments of the Lipka family, compliments of this family. Instead of us doing something that's crazy, dangerous in our community, use your dollars to make yourself the superhero of our community to help influence a beautiful display in a safe environment. And please remember, bullets from guns are not fireworks. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman Lipka.
And I'm serious, if we could come up with something like that, if people wanted to come in and do that, I think I would love to work with the staff to set up an opportunity for citizens to do that.
Are there any other questions for our Parks and Recreation Director?
Congratulations on your
Great.
promotion.
At this time, I request a motion in a second.
So move, Naquita Noah.
Second, Heather Robinette.
Clerk Pittman, could you please call the roll?
Councilwoman Noah,
Aye.
Councilman Palmer,
Aye.
Councilman Ashby,
Aye.
Councilwoman Robinette,
Aye.
Mayor Jones,
Aye.
Councilwoman Lipka,
Aye.
Councilwoman Nelson,
Aye.
Resolution number 2024-6 passes. Thank you, Joseph. Appreciate you. We move to resolution number 2024-07. Without objection, we're introduced by council members present. Hear none, Attorney Carey, could you please read resolution number 2024-07?
Yes, ma'am. Resolution number 2024-07, a resolution of the city of Ferguson authorizing the city manager to enter into and execute a contract with Weiss Design Group for ARPA-funded 2324 street improvements.
City Manager Hampton.
Mayor and Council, as you remember, we went out for an RFQ and Weiss Design Group was selected as our design group for the streets. And I can bring Corey Gilbert up, our Public Works Director at this time. And if you have any questions, he can go into it a little bit more. So also remember, these are ARPA funds that are being to pay this for these streets.
And those ARPA funds, they have to be used by what?
Allocated.
2025? Okay,
2020.
okay.
We gotta obligate them by the end of this year. Okay. All right.
Good evening, council. Good evening, Mayor.
Good evening.
When it comes to this project, cut the cost on some of this stuff. I'll be doing some of the side engineering stuff. I'm not an engineer, but I can do a lot of the on-site stuff, which I've been doing in the past. Such as change orders. Change orders are anything, tweaking of the project that will cut costs or changing the cost of the project. So, I'll be doing those things for U.S. Department of Labor payroll documentation, which I've done already for the street slab project. So those are some of the things that I'll be taking on.
Council, do you have any question for our Public Works Director? Councilwoman Lipka.
Mr. Gilbert, I appreciate that. You know, first of all, thank you. What kind of cost, percentage wise or dollar wise, whatever is easier to answer, what kind of savings will that give us, do you think?
So with this project, it saved us close to $100,000.
Okay. Now, I guess this question would be more for you, Chief Hampton. When we have a savings like that, and that's ARPA funds, you're going to reinvest that into other projects?
Yeah, correct. This project here is going to be $2 million total.
Mhm.
So we're taking out extra $100,000 and we're going to try to do more streets.
Oh, good.
So, these are the streets that are being bidded on, and there might be a few more that we can squeeze in there as well.
Okay.
But these right here are for sure being bidded on, and we'll come back with that. And then at that time, we'll bring you another list of streets. And at that time, if we need to have a conversation on what streets we need to bid on, we can bring you the worst ones, and then we can all talk.
Thank you. That's all I have, Mayor.
Councilwoman Noah.
Thank you, Mayor. That was my question, because we allocated 3 million to streets, and if this is 2 million,
Yes, ma'am. So 1 million of that was for slab replacement
oh, that's right.
throughout the city.
I apologize. I
And,
forgot.
I mean, we spent probably a little bit over 1 million
Mhm.
just because we had to replace a lot of slabs that we had done that people drove through and or rode their bikes through and or let their dogs walk over.
That's right. I remember. I just would like to say thank you so much. This is the residents will be so happy. Thank you. Thank you.
Any other question for our Public Works Director? Councilman Ashby.
You're back to being the most popular person in Ferguson.
Remember, when this community sees the work being done, please do not mess with the concrete. You were spending money that you don't get to have on new streets.
Next our next time my city manager report, we're gonna be talking about what we're gonna do besides these streets, and how we're gonna go about repairing some of our streets from our own department.
Okay, and then we have the 155,000 CDBG.
So we just went through.
We're gonna get a reimbursement.
Apparently, we'll have to come back to the CBD.
I know, I just mentioned it. Okay. 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 Any other questions?
My hand is up, Mayor.
Councilwoman Nelson has her hand up.
Councilwoman Nelson.
I just couldn't hear because when they're talking away from the microphone, I can't hear everything that was said, but I wanted to make sure that I heard that there may be some wiggle room for additional streets on the list.
Mm-hmm.
Am I correct in hearing that?
Yes.
You are correct.
Okay, thank you, Corey.
Any other question for the Public Works Director? Hear none, I request a motion and a second for approval.
So moved, Linda. I'm sorry. So moved, Linda Lipka.
Second, Heather Robinette.
Clerk Pittman, could you please call the roll?
Councilman Lipka,
Aye.
Councilman Nelson,
Aye.
Councilwoman Noah,
Aye.
Councilman Palmer,
Aye.
Councilman Ashby,
Aye.
Councilwoman Robinette, Mayor Jones.
Aye. Resolution number 2024-07 passes. Thank you, Mr. Gilbert. We move to bills requiring first reading. Without objection, we're introduced by council members present. Bill number 7270. City Attorney Carey, could you read the bill by title only?
Yes, ma'am. Bill number 7270. An ordinance of the city of Ferguson, Missouri, granting a special use permit to Michael Quinlan for the purpose of operating a car sales and service business at 829 South Florissant Road, subject to the conditions, restrictions, and requirements set forth herein.
City Manager,
I have nothing at this time.
Council, do you have any questions for the city manager?
I just, a brief question, if I may.
Councilman Ashby.
Thank you. So we've talked about the 2040 plan, and in some ways, this is a variance from the 2040 plan, but I guess in my mind, it's kind of an accelerant also, because if we can create some kind of activity down in that area, it's actually going to create demand for other real estate around there. So we don't, just because we're doing this, we don't have to cancel or back away from the 2040 plan, do we? We still can go forward with that. This is just a, almost a pause.
Yeah, I mean, to me, it's a deviation from the 2040 plan, but I mean, it's a plan that you can, I'm sure, mold as you go forward.
Because at the end of the day, it's just a lease, and if there's a demand for retail space down there, then the property owner, whoever that might be, can always, the lease ends, they can always build property, retail on there at that point.
Any other questions? Hear none, no action? Yes, Councilwoman Noah.
Well, after the last council meeting, I had, a lot of calls from many residents, and they were just concerned that the car lot won't have, rundown vehicles being sold there. Furthermore, bringing down the appearance of Ward 3. And we just want to reassure the community that that's not going to happen.
Mayor and council, and the gentleman's, during the hearing, I believe he said what type of cars he was going to, but if that's something that needs to be put in, I'm sure we could do something.
Okay. Any other questions for the city manager? At this time,
I can also
Councilman Palmer.
I can just provide some clarity on that. One advantage to this applicant having a car repair facility already in town is that everything on the lot will be functional and operational. So there won't be vehicles that need repair, because those would be up the street indoors at his car repair facility. And I've also made it known that this is not going to become a salvage operation. As a landlord, I would not permit that to happen. So thank you.
Any other questions for the city manager? Hear none, no action taken at this time. We move to bill number 7271. Without objection, we are introduced by council members present. Hear none, Attorney Carey, could you please read bill number 7271 by title only?
Yes, ma'am. Bill number 7271. An ordinance approving the lot consolidation of property being described as West Dale subdivision, Block 3, lots 1 through 13, boundary adjustment plat, Ferguson, St. Louis County, Missouri, within the city of Ferguson, Missouri.
City Manager Hampton?
Mayor, at this time,
At this time, no action will be taken. We move to bills for second reading. I'm requesting a motion and a second to read the bill a second time and place it upon its passage.
So moved, Linda Lipka.
Second, Phaedra Nelson.
Second, Heather Robinette.
Attorney Carey, could you please read bill number 7268?
Yes, ma'am. Bill number 7268. An ordinance authorizing the mayor of the city of Ferguson, Missouri to enter into and execute an agreement regarding the granting of a temporary slope and construction license to the county of St. Louis, to St. Louis County.
City Manager Hampton.
Mayor and Council, at this time, I'm going to bring up Assistant City Manager Dave Musgrave. While he was with the Parks Department, he dealt with these next two ordinances.
Good evening.
As Chief Hampton mentioned, the next two ordinances are kind of tangent. They both deal with the Great Street project in West Florissant, one with the construction easement, and the other one is the slope and construction license agreement. And basically, it's just for the Great Street project. Questions? More happy.
Any questions for the Assistant City Manager? Hear none. Clerk Pippen, could you please call a roll?
Nelson?
Aye.
Councilwoman Noah?
Aye.
Councilman Palmer?
Aye.
Councilman Ashley? Councilwoman Robinette?
Aye.
Mayor Jones?
Aye. Bill number 7268 passes. We move to bill number 7269. I'm requesting motion and a second to read the bill a second time and place it upon its passage.
So moved, Heather Robinette.
Second, Laquita Noah.
Attorney Carey, could you please read bill number 7269?
Yes, ma'am. Bill number 7269, an ordinance authorizing the mayor of the city of Ferguson, Missouri to execute a general warranty deed conveying a right-of-way to St. Louis County.
City Manager Hampton.
Mayor and Council, again, I'll bring Assistant City Manager Dave.
Good evening, Mayor. Good evening, Council. This is the second one.
Clerk Pittman, could you please call a roll?
Mayor Jones?
Aye.
Councilwoman Nelson?
Aye.
All right, Councilwoman Lipka?
Aye.
Councilwoman Noah?
Aye.
Councilman Palmer?
Aye.
Councilman Ashley?
Aye.
Bill number 7269 passes. We move to unfinished business. The whistle stop. Request for proposal results.
So Mayor, we would like to postpone this, so I would like to make a motion. Let me back up. It's our understanding that the building is in pretty bad shape. And so we'd like to make a motion to reevaluate the process of the building and put this on hold. Postpone.
The motion has been made. Is there a second?
I'll second. Second Blake Ashby.
All in favor? Any opposed? The ayes have it. Whistle stop. Proposal is postponed. We move to new business. Do we have any additional new business? Councilman Ashby.
Mayor, could we spend just a couple of minutes talking about the senior project?
City Manager?
So we had started this, they did the RF request for proposal, I guess a couple of years ago, and the project got sidetracked by some different questions around there, and I think probably just changed over in staff. What is going to be the process for restarting that or reinitiating a request for proposal or talking to Mr. McKinney? Is there a process we can get started? My concern is the deadline for filing for 2025 is September 30th. And if we wait too much longer, we won't be able to get any applicants until, the year after that.
But if I remember correct, I'm sorry.
1 minute. Attorney Carey?
Yeah, that's.
Don't want me to talk. So the last thing I heard from Mr. McKinney and his attorney was that he would get back with us. So there was some delay in the delay is well documented. There was just a bunch of delays in the original deal. And then we attempted to re-engage Mr. McKinney and say, hey, listen, I think the city is was right after, I think, Mr. Osterberg left and, you know, we had some changeover and we had John in place. He was interim at the time anyway, but we had John in place and we tried to re-engage Mr. McKinney. He basically told us, just, you know, stand down and if I'm interested, I'll reconnect with you. And that was the last thing I heard from Mr. McKinney. I'm not quite sure if anybody else from the council or anybody has had questions or comments or interaction with him, but the last thing we heard was that he just would let us know if he was still interested, so.
And I can add a little bit more to that. So with that property, we were also directed to go out and market that property. And I don't know what our next step would actually be, if we want to go back out for our RFQ or what, but right now the property is still up for sale.
Councilwoman Lipka?
How have we gone about marketing that? Because I do know that one of the things that was kicked around in some thought processes out loud was that that is a viable piece of property. It didn't have to be a senior housing project. We wanted to put it out there. And the other thing that I know we talked about too is we had given Mr. McKinney some concessions to, if he did build there, and these were concessions, for lack of a better word, maybe you have a better word for me, but we had never put it on the market, letting potential owners know that they had these tax credits or they had these property credits or they had the credits of permitting fees and things like that. So one of the requests was, if we do put it back out there, that we put it out there so with those things included, so that a potential new owner would say, oh, hey, look at this. If I buy this land, it comes with permit fee waived and things like that, because that was the package we had put together for Mr. McKinney.
Yeah, and so just to be clear, the original package we put together for Mr. McKinney did include that. At some point, the package morphed and he had asked for no incentives. He wanted to pay a certain amount for the project.
$250,000.
So the project morphed. He didn't even want any incentives. He just wanted to pay for the property. And
Or didn't he also want us to hold it for an indefinite amount of time?
It was an option, basically. He wanted to pay a certain amount for an option agreement. And then again, when we attempted to re-engage him about that, he just basically said he would let us.
Mr. Palmer?
I do have a question about the vote that the council did take to instruct the city manager to market the property with a commercial real estate broker for sale or for lease with the marketing budget not to exceed $1,500. I feel like 2,500,000. What commercial brokerage is this listed with?
So at this time, Rachel, if Pierre's here, I believe we also cut a deal with the person that or there's a sign on the property. Or I think it's a billboard as well. I think we were able to work out a deal with them as well, but Rachel.
Yeah. So Chief Hampton had asked us to get appraisal so we can at first decide what the property is worth. We literally just got that appraisal back yesterday. So that is where we are at.
Okay. So it actually hasn't been listed like in nationally marketed with a national firm quite yet. Okay.
What we wanted to listen.
Okay. Thank you.
Councilman Ashby?
So what was the appraisal? So less than the 250 you offered for it.
Councilwoman Noah?
And what's the address again? Do you know? Okay, I just want, okay. What did you
I
ask?
couldn't hear the
address?
appraisal amount.
Oh, I don't know the address by heart.
I didn't
I know
hear
where
the
it's
appraisal
located.
amount.
Midas on Hallsbury.
It's, right, yeah, I know the location. I was just wondering if you knew that. But would you repeat the appraisal amount, please?
Yes,
Thank you.
And he
Are
offered
we talking into the microphone?
$175,000.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Councilwoman Lipka?
So with that in mind, what we know and what the audience is hearing, that this wasn't a thing that the city did. This was pretty much Mr. McKinney kind of put it on hold. Because we had offered him a package, we were ready to go if he had agreed. So that sits there. So now if he doesn't, because he didn't move forward with it, that is when we, as a council, would like to see it go out to bid and see if anybody else would like to develop that particular piece of land. But going back to Councilman Ashby's thought and the count of the city members who have spoke tonight, we do need senior housing. And we need it really badly. And I have brought this up multiple times, and I know Councilwoman Nelson will know what I'm talking about too, and Mayor Jones, because when she was Ward 1, this is something that was on your mind as well. But in Ferguson Woods, we have a big piece of land that used to be, well, hear me out.
I hear you.
There's a
Keep
big
going.
piece of land back there that used to be a park. And now that Cracker Barrel has gone out of business, there is a possibility with creative thinking and smart work, strategy working to make an entrance from where Cracker Barrel was, or part of their parking lot, to that land and possibly market that land to be an excellent location for a senior living. The problem that is the biggest hurdle that we would need a lot of help with and community in that community is the fact that that is a private subdivision that has not updated their bylaws since, what is it, 1963 or 62, somewhere in that range. And everybody in the subdivision has to meet and sign off on it. And it's very hard to get that accomplished. But I think if this is something that the community really believes in, then we could work together to get these people to a meeting, to get them to sign off. Because the other concern I have is right now we have every citizen in that private subdivision is liable for anybody who could possibly get hurt on that land. So if somebody's walking through that land and they fall through an overgrown mole hole or something like that, and there's been issues of vagrants living in the woods and things like that, somebody get hurt, that person or that person's family could sue the subdivision, and every single person in that subdivision would be liable because of the way their trustee agreement is worked out. And it's very, very outdated. It doesn't benefit anybody. So I would just like to put out there that if this is something that is truly important, there are a lot of hurdles, there's no doubt, but there is a lot of new thinking going on in this city hall. And I think with support and smart strategy, we could possibly have a location, and it would be lovely to have a senior living community in the middle of a community instead of off of a main drag or something like that. They could benefit each other.
Okay,
That's my pipe dream, but I really think it could be possible.
okay. Number one, the opening to that land is adjacent to Cracker Barrel.
Correct.
That gate back there, it opens the land. The people did talk at one time. So all of them assume if the land is sold, it's going to be divvy up between each person. And their bylaws does not account for that because it has to go to the holding committee, the holding place.
Correct.
What's the name of the place you all subdivision?
I know who you're talking about because they do it for all the subdivisions in the
So
county.
monies has to go there first.
It's
So-
like a law firm, for those of you who don't know, that is, it's Townsend and something.
City and Village, that's
City
what it
Village,
is.
thank
City
you.
and Village,
And they collect the fees for private subdivisions.
right. So at this time, Councilman Palmer.
I also wanted to mention too, part of the reason when the negotiations kind of fell apart, it was most of it had to do with, if I remember correctly, because it turned into a senior housing project and it turned into a land deal. And that really wasn't the initial RFP. It was more for senior housing. So I think a lot of the people on council thought that it probably should be redone or remarketed it as a land deal, because we waived the county waived a couple $100,000 in taxes. And this is the kind of thing that got some municipalities into some muddy waters, was waiving taxes and then selling real estate with no conditions for the development of that real estate. So I just want to reiterate, we got to be careful when we get into doing land deals, because it could really fluster, Mr. Page and his administration. And we just got back out of hot water because a lot of cities weren't doing the vetting process that we had been doing when it came to disposition of tax delinquent real estate. So with the way that it was structured, I feel like that might have really frustrated the county if we had took a piece of real estate, waived a couple $100,000 in taxes, and then sold it for our own coffers. with no real development plan in sight. We really gotta be careful with that. So thank you.
Ashby, Councilman Ashby.
Yeah, no, I think that's the key, right? It needs to be specified as a senior living project. I did actually meet with Mr. McKinney about just some other things. As the norm is to get an option on the property and then apply for the federal tax credits. So anybody that applies for that senior living project is going to want to lock it up for at least 6 months and probably a year. I don't think that's unreasonable, but to Councilman Palmer's point, we do need to specify that it's going to be for senior living and they've got to complete the project within a certain amount of time or the option expires.
Okay, what kind of directions do we want to give to the city manager? Councilman Palmer.
I think since it hasn't even been marketed yet, it might be best to evaluate the appraisal, contact maybe a couple commercial real estate firms, and see what they're willing to offer as far as marketing, what they're going to get it on, and then, work with that marketing budget, which is pretty much industry standard from what I've gathered. It prepares a flyer, sends that out, lists it on national marketing websites, and usually places a sign as well. That's what I think would be probably the next step, since that hasn't actually even happened yet. But I'm open to other suggestions.
Councilman Ashby.
And I wonder if we can do these things in parallel, because refreshing the request for proposal is going to take some time anyway. So now that we've got the appraisal, there's no reason not to, put it on the market and see if somebody gives us a couple $100,000 for it, which I think is a long shot, but it doesn't hurt to ask, right? And then while that's happening, the staff can be looking at the RFP process and refreshing it and deciding how to handle that. That's normally a 30, 60-day process to pull something together, if not a little longer.
Councilwoman Lipka.
When we're refreshing the RFP process, and this is a question to you too, as well as you, sir, can it be included in the description, some of the incentives that we had created originally? Or is that something that you would prefer to leave out and then leave open to create with somebody new?
So my thinking right now is property's just up for sale. And let them come bring what they want to us.
Okay. Well,
Okay.
this is your expertise. I'm
I'm not
just,
an expert at that, but I mean,
We got a real estate expert
Mhm.
sitting adjacent to you.
sir. Okay, thank you, sir.
But we
Okay.
can,
I just was wondering if it would be something that would make it more appealing and move quicker.
So it's part of the negotiation.
Okay. The other problem is it could make it more appealing and it could make it move quicker, but it could also make them come and ask for a lot more.
Councilman Ashby, and then we'll move on.
and so just to confirm, we can do both, right? We can put it up for sale and Rachel can start looking at what it would take to refresh the RFP process. And if we're going to get interest, we're going to get interest quickly. And if we don't get interest quickly, then the staff can be working in parallel and, maybe 45 days down the road, we look at actually, issuing an RFP or voting on an RFP.
Councilman Palmer.
I even think too, if it's legal, maybe put an RFP out for senior housing, but don't make it site specific.
Bingo.
That, I don't think we should limit ourselves to that specific site. Maybe the seniors want to live in something a little more private, not right on Halls Ferry, or maybe they do, but let the developer decide what's the best fit for their needs, maybe, because that might get us more activity interest if we don't limit it to one specific property. That's just my suggestion.
Sounds good.
One more thing. I know you said.
Well, what other properties would we be looking, what other option of properties would they have?
Could you repeat that, Councilwoman Nelson?
What other option of properties would they have besides that location and the Ferguson Woods location?
What other options of properties in
Right.
Ferguson?
Councilman
that
Palmer
they
was
would be able
saying
to
not
have?
just limit the options of the properties, right?
Correct.
So one of the things that I wanted to bring up on that point, kind of thinking along the same line, is, we have the situation on our agenda that we'll have second reading next meeting about changing the boundaries of vacant lots. I mean, that would be another opportunity to create property. If we have a group of open lots, we could adjust boundaries, we could create a spot, and I really believe that if you put a senior housing development in a neighborhood, you're going to have a much more family enriched area. And so that could be a possibility with the lots that we have that we're trying to figure out how to utilize best.
Okay, Councilman Palmer.
In an effort to address Councilwoman Nelson's question, if we put out an RFP, Mr. Carey, for senior housing development, hypothetically, the options for real estate would be endless. Is that correct? Because anybody could come with a project of a property they already own, they have a contract to purchase, or they're looking to purchase possibly even as well, correct?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay, we got it?
I
City
guess.
manager? You good? Okay, let's move on. Any other new business? Okay, we move to miscellaneous. Let's start with Councilwoman Noah.
Thank you, Mayor. I would like to remind everyone about the Nesbit Newton meeting. It's tomorrow at the Ferguson Empowerment Center at 6 p.m. And the Forestwood meeting is every first Tuesday of the month at Emmaus Bible Chapel at 7 p.m. at 900 at Highmont and Hornet, 900 Highmont at Hornet. I would like to thank the Ferguson Historical Society for presenting the Slavery in St. Louis event at the Ferguson Community Center earlier this month. It was very informational for those, who still have to become educated on Black history, a lot of Black history, I should say. Welcome to all the new staff members to Ferguson. We thank you for choosing Ferguson. And what else is on this list? I just would like to add, thank to the staff. I know a lot of times the staff, when I'm out in the community, there's a lot of questions the residents have, but I want to continue to encourage and thank you, Ferguson staff, for all that you're doing to make improvements in our community. Many of the residents, they see the improvements and they appreciate the work that you all are doing. It does not go unnoticed. Thank you tonight with the requisition, the resolution for the streets. That's just, the residents in Ward 3 will be so happy. Many of the residents, Weigel, Ruggles. And lastly, that's it. Thank you, Mayor. Everyone be safe and well.
Thank you, Councilwoman Noah. Councilman Palmer?
I just wanted to share a brief success story that might not hit the news or the media relative to our property restoration program. As many people do know, some don't know, the program, while it did help get some properties off the tear down list, it did come with some flaws in regard to quality of title. So oftentimes the properties, once remodeled, had to be rented prior to them being sold. But I can announce today that in about 2 days, as far as I know, the first property restoration program home is being sold to the person who's been renting it for 2 years. So they are becoming an owner occupant. So it does show that after an exhaustive search, we have located a title company that will insure these titles that are still somewhat questionable. But, the person moved in the place after extensive renovation, lived there 2 years, and then reached out and said, I'd like to buy this place. And then I said, let's get an impartial appraisal and let's go. And it ordered an appraisal, got a pre-approval, and he's going to become a Ferguson full-time resident homeowner on Thursday or Friday. So
Great.
thank you.
Councilman Ashby.
Yeah, Ms. Bishop, hopefully we answered most of your questions about the senior project, and I can certainly answer more after the fact. And I'd like to thank Mike Palmer. He does a lot of things for the city that never actually rise to the level of public comment. But the fact of the matter is, he is one of the people who's out there every day thinking about ways to make Ferguson better. And yes, he makes more money when he makes Ferguson better, but my property values go up also when he makes Ferguson better. So we appreciate all the work you do, and you're kind of the unsung real estate guy on the board or on the council, and we definitely appreciate your contributions and all you do for the city.
Thank you, Councilman Ashby. Councilwoman Robinette.
I do have a quick question for Chief Hampton. When we agreed to pay for ShotSpotter after the county, that ended, we didn't expand that footprint, did we? It was the same footprint. Okay. Because we had about 8 shots fired, it sounded like outside our house last night and my husband said, well, Shot Spotter should get that, right? And I said, I don't think we have Shot Spotter over here. So I called it in, but
Be close.
huh? Okay. Okay. Well, and that's what I just wanted to know, like, did we keep the same footprint? And then as I was thinking about it, it was probably cost prohibitive to roll it out citywide. So I was just validating that. And yes, shots are increasing and warm weather brings out bored people, it seems like. So thankfully tomorrow will be cold again. But thank you for that. And thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councilwoman Robinette. Councilwoman Lipka.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Mayor. So I just want to say that, I'm sorry I had to step out. I had to use the restroom. But I missed the vote for Ella's Kitchen and I just wanted to go on record that I would have voted no. And it's not because I don't support new businesses and things like that. I completely do. But I do strongly believe that this particular business, anytime you go into business, you need to know your zoning laws. You need to know what's going on around you. And I don't think it even should have been brought before us as a public hearing because it's within 100 feet of a church. So I wish them very much luck, but I would have voted no on that. And as I said, I want that on the record. And I also would have asked, I would have actually, before I even voted, I would have asked for it to be postponed till after the election because everybody who's running for office, is doing a great job. They're running their campaigns and they want to get support and that's wonderful. But I don't want any of our candidates to have anything said against them that isn't fair, isn't right. And I wouldn't want to have any quid pro quo arguments when we have voting members who are being supported by the person who was up for the liquor license. So I would have just asked that we put that off until after the election, just to keep it very clean, fair, transparent, and, go that direction. Also, I would also like to state that I want to thank the citizens. We had an extreme tragedy in our community, as we all know, on February 19th, and it was a tragic loss of life, a lot of 4 children, innocent life. And we've had citizens just begging for a task. Give me something to do. How can I help? What can I do? And so a citizen and I and Dave Musgrave have worked together to create the Pressner Spader Tree Dedication Fund. All the citizens have been making pledges to it as they feel the need to. We did set up an opportunity for you to do that through the Parks and Rec Department. And there is a QR code that you can do. You can scan the QR code. It will take you to the Parks and Rec webpage. It will allow you to set up an account and then you can make a donation to the tree fund if you would like to. We are also working to see if we can get trees donated. If we do get the trees donated, which is a very strong possibility, then we would use the funds to buy a bench and plaque the bench with the children's and family's name on it so that it would be a memorial to the kids. And we'd like to put this in Jesky Park. So it is an ongoing project and it is in the works, but it wouldn't have happened without the request of the community and the citizens who really wanted this to happen. And Dave and I are just happy to be able to facilitate that. Also, I want to let people know that depression is a very real thing. It's very, very hard. If you are, everybody's depressed at some point in their life. That's a given, right? That's just human nature. But there are chemical imbalances in your body that don't have control over sometimes. And that's why Prozac's out there and Wellbutrin and all that good stuff. And there's different levels of depression. And there's levels, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to get emotional. There's levels called high functioning depressants. And high functioning depressants are people who accomplish a lot, who are always on the go, who have multiple projects going at all times, who are basically changing the world as they move because they're trying to outrun their emotions. And when those emotions catch up to them, they are caught. And the situation becomes you're this high functioning person creating all these wonderful things and everybody around you is like, oh, look at that person, they're doing great. But the emotions have caught up to you and now you're in a despair and you're in a cloud that you can't get out of. I am telling you this from firsthand experience. And I'm here to talk to you because I have worked very hard to get through the 5 minutes that it would have taken to not be here. And one of the reasons I'm here is because I used the suicide hotline. And it doesn't make me weak. If anything, it makes me very proud. So if you are in that spot, and it's a very real spot, please promise us, promise yourself, you'll give yourself 5 minutes and dial 988. Just do it, just 5 minutes. Just give yourself 5 more minutes and call 988. If you need somewhere to take your kids so you can deal with your own problems. I have not had to do that, but I have chosen this particular organization as my #1 charity, and that's the Children's Crisis Nursery. If you need to call them, their phone number is 314-953-8030. If you're having major issues with a divorce and your kids are caught in the middle, there is an organization called Kids in the Middle, and it's designed specifically for children suffering through divorce. Call them. So I just want people to know that I didn't mean to get emotional and I apologize, but it does hit very close to home. And living with depression is a commitment of positivity. And sometimes it's not that easy. Last thing, I jumped ahead and it's my apologies when I made the motion about whistle stop. And I jumped ahead because I didn't give an opportunity for an explanation by our city manager. So if you could explain why we felt it was important to put a hold on that for a minute so that it's clear and it doesn't look like Linda Lipka was just jumping up for like I did.
Okay, so. No, so we've done some assessment of the property itself, and it's deemed that there's a lot more work there than what we thought was going to be. And we want to get a real thorough evaluation of how much it's going to cost the city to get the building up and running.
So this would be more, I personally look at it as not only are we going to do our homework and see what we got there, but I think we're protecting the potential investment of entrepreneurs. So that's very important as well. And I just, once again, I can't say enough. Please take care of yourselves. Please take care of your families and promise yourself or somebody you love that you will take 5 minutes when you feel that low. Thanks.
Thank you, Councilwoman Lipka. It's brave of you to share that.
Yes, it is. Thanks.
Councilwoman Nelson.
I just want to welcome the new staff to Ferguson and wish them the best in their new roles. And I also wanted to remind folks about the Ferguson Twilight one, which will be May 18th, and there's still time to get registered for it for Saturday, the 18th for 2024. It'll be going into our 15th year, so this will be a great time for the city and everyone to come together and join in on a really nice event that we've been having for a very long time. And then I wanted to thank Corey and Public Works so much for all the potholes they've been kind of filling around on certain streets throughout Ward 1. I really appreciate it, and so do the residents. You guys keep up the great work, and I really appreciate all that you've been doing regarding our streets.
Councilwoman Nelson, is there any training program for the Twilight Run? I know you've done those in the past.
We're looking to do some soon, so that some of that will be coming out pretty soon. We're in the works on that.
Thank you, Councilwoman Nelson. Clerk Pittman, do you have anything to share?
Actually, yes, just for transparency, it was noted earlier that some changes were made to the packet today, but I haven't made any changes to the packet today. So I just wanted to be transparent about that. I had not made any changes to the packet today. So if there was something in the packet that someone has seen, then that information was already there, or you know, maybe it was distributed in a different way. But if there's something that needs to be updated, I can definitely do it, but I just wanted to make sure that everyone understood that.
Attorney Carey,
I don't have anything, thank you.
Chief Hampton.
I don't have any.
Okay. I have a long list of items. I had several seniors call me and say, Mayor, you're not putting an article in the paper and we're not getting some of the things you're doing. So I don't want to take 45 minutes to read everything I've done in the month of February for the city, but there's 3 things I would like to highlight. And number 1 is the Historical Society. They did a phenomenal job of bringing Black history, talking about enslaved people here in Ferguson and the St. Louis area. It was a very, very good presentation by the Historical Society. Affinia Healthcare, you know, they are adjacent to the YMCA, and I'm on the community board, and Councilwoman Nelson and Councilwoman Noor attended the meeting, and it's going to be a training site for doctors. So I'm excited about that. NCI North County Incorporated had Economic Development Day for North County. And I just want to say thank you to Rachel St. Pierre. She did a phenomenal job talking about what Ferguson has to offer. And from St. Louis Partnership to Forest Valley to all the municipalities that did participate in the economic development part of the program, they had 5 central themes: increase the population, new housing, workforce development, parks and recreation, diversity, equity, and inclusion. And I think Ferguson has hit all of those goals. So excited about that. Attended MML meeting. And some of you know that the mayors, North County mayors, been working with Dr. Sam Page on the post-third properties. We done had about 12 meetings. It's been an ordeal. It's been an ordeal. This last meeting, he finally gave in because he has a new director of revenue, and the program is going back like it was. You don't have to submit shovel-ready projects for the post-third properties. However, State Representative Wyndham has a land bank proposal. It's House Bill 2065 and Senate Bill 750. It has come out of committee. It was voted out of committee on last Tuesday. And there's a good chance that we are going to have a land bank. I have the details, but not until they finish up in Jefferson City. Senate Bill 750, House Bill 2065. It is in your MML packet that Octavia mailed to us this week. The last thing I would like to share is our first responders. Our first responders. Pastor Jose, who is over the chaplains, he called me and I went with him 6 a.m. to the roll call for the police department. I just sit there and they were happy. You don't have to say anything. You just show them that you care. I went to the 6:00 p.m. roll call that Thursday night. Just sit there. They show them that you care. Councilwoman Linda Lipka sent goodie bags for the police officers. So keep them in your prayers. Keep our first responders in your prayers. And lastly, I attended DEI meeting today, conference rather, at Webster University, Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion. And I'm looking forward to talking with Dr. Warren, who is the Executive Director of the HRC. And looking forward to her coming back to Ferguson to do some additional work with DEI. And just want to share with everyone that it's very important that Ferguson grows with DEI. It's very important that we grow that way. So that's all I have. The rest of it will be on the website.
Mayor, may I just, you made me think of something when you brought up first responders. Can I just take 1 minute?
Yes, you can.
So I just also wanted, Mayor Jones made me think of something that's very important. So as people have been reaching out, they've also been reaching out wanting to say thank you to the first responders. We've had one of our citizens, Rafina, she's crocheted little red hearts and have them delivered. Other people are doing other things. At the prayer vigil that we had, I did recommend that people take a time, just take a minute and write a thank you note, write a little note of support, write a little note of inspiration, drop it off at a firehouse, drop it off at the police department. Those things matter. They matter a whole lot. And that you don't even have to address it to anybody. Just say to the first officer that gets this, thank you so much for being here today. Boom. That makes a difference. The other thing that I did, that I encourage you all to do, I just ran up to Sam's and grabbed a few handful of snacks and dropped them off at the fire department. You know, they love that. Everybody loves free food. So, you know, it let them know that we care. And I also want you to be very clear that Chief Hampton and Chief Doyle had counseling in place for their people immediately, so that as you pray for our first responders, please know that they have great chiefs who are taking good care of them. And I also I encourage you to add your prayers. Chief Hampton, you went through a hell of a day that day, and I just want you to know you are continually in my prayers. So thank you for all you give to our community.
On last Tuesday, I held a workshop here for my advanced government class. It was on boards and commission. We had a great time. People interacted, and they really got an opportunity to express their thoughts and learn more about boards and commission. We went through the city boards and commission manual, and it was very, very good. On Thursday, don't forget at 12:30, the topping out ceremony at Florissant Valley. They putting in the last beam. You have an opportunity to sign your name on it. 12:30, Thursday, Florissant Valley. That's all I have. I need a motion and a second to adjourn.
So move, Naquita Noah.
Second, Favor Nelson.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it. Have a good night. See you Thursday morning. It's just the beam the last beam that they putting up. At first, and it's going in the second building.
Yep.
And you just sign your name on the beam and